Greetings, dear viewers, and welcome back to another episode of Game Sharks. I am one of your hosts, Jimmy Good, and joining me always is my co-host, Mr. Corey Lang. Corey, how are you today?
Jimmy, did you hear it snowed already here?
Can you believe it? I do believe it. I remember I shouldn't say I remember exactly, but it was in 1993 or 94. I was a wee toddler, and I remember it was like I went trick-or-treating in a blizzard or like in snow, like lots of snow had come. I don't know.
Was it 91? Could have been 91, but
I remember 91 was like the big year, but
that was the big one. Okay.
Yeah, but maybe there was other years where it was snowy too.
I'm sure, man. It's Minnesota, but what can you say?
What can you say?
Yeah, the sun's out today, so I think the snow is mostly gone.
Maybe I shouldn't tell you what the temperature is here.
Just get it over with.
79.
Ooh, beautiful. God, I'm moving to California. It's enough.
I know. I'll tell you this though. One thing that does bother me, listening to like Christmas music when it's like this out here, because it's like it breaks my brain. I'm like, what is even happening? I don't know.
That is
I
weird.
don't understand it. No,
that is weird.
So the next time you guys see me on this show, I will be back in studio because I'm coming home for the holidays, which I'm very excited about. And then I'll get to try Assassin's Creed Mirage. That's my Assassin's Creed is always my guilty. I shouldn't say guilty pleasure because it's not a guilty pleasure. But I love playing it around the holidays. I don't know why.
That's your holiday game.
I like to drive the point home. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Oh, I'm so horrible. Anyway, thank you for another show here, Corey. This is so much fun. I love talking games with you. And today, we're going to be talking about 5 specific games, given the time. Kind of go back and forth a little bit here. Corey and I have been playing a vast array of titles. That's what I'm going to tell people anyway. And I want to start off with a game that actually kind of took me by surprise, and it came to Xbox Game Pass not too long ago, but it's called Sea of Stars. It's this really interesting kind of 16-bit style RPG. If you played Chrono Trigger, if you played like Golden Sun, those types of games, that is kind of what this game is. And at first I was playing this and I was like, we'll see how long this game is. And I looked up how long it takes to beat this, Corey, and I was like, it's like 25 to 30 hours. And I was like, what? I was like, seriously? But it's great. It's really nice. And it's a fun, very straightforward kind of medievalish role-playing fantasy game. But the caveat is that the combat is kind of active. I don't know if you've ever played Legend of Dragoon, Corey. Have you heard of this game?
Yeah, my wife's a big fan. I never played it personally, but I'm aware.
Tiffany likes that.
Yeah, so I think I have the hard copy at home as like multiple discs.
Yes, it's got like 4.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. I never beat it, but I love that game. And the thing about that game is like it was like Final Fantasy, where it's turn-based combat, but you had to like, if you used a combo, you had to do like button inputs. And this is back on the PlayStation 1. So you had to kind of like know your combos. Not that this game is like a combo thing like that, but all of your spells and blocking and stuff, if you time your button presses, you will either like, if you're attacking, you'll do more damage, or if you're defending, you'll obviously take less damage. So it's all about timing. So every fight is really engaging, and they don't really have like respawning enemies. I think the Souls games have kind of broken me, Corey, on like respawning enemies. It's like when they don't respawn, I'm like, wait,
what's happening?
Yeah. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But it's really fun. It's really interesting, beautiful game. And again, it's got that kind of 16-bit-esque feeling and vibe, so it does feel kind of retro, even though it's very streamlined. It's very straightforward. It also has like platforming and stuff too, which I was not expecting. It's like, you're kind of clambering around. You get this kind of grapple later on, this kunai with a rope, and you kind of like throw yourself around the levels. And it's also a great way to like initiate a fight, because you can like see the monsters and you kind of throw it out there and go and attack them. But yeah, it's just a really cool game. And I was like, man, I was surprised because someone had brought this up to me and like online, and I was like, oh, we'll see. And then I looked into it, I'm like, oh, this is actually really neat. And like I said, very old fashioned. I don't know, or it feels like that, old vibes in a modern era. But yeah, so, and it came, again, this is not a sequel. It feels very inspired by these older titles. I mean, it's very like, you are one of the guardians of this world and you're trying to defeat evil. Like pretty straightforward stuff. But yeah, again, just a cool game. Kind of came out of nowhere, and I've been enjoying it. For you, Corey, what's the last like big RPG turnstile based combat that you've played?
Well, I have the screenshots of
Oh
Sea
yeah,
of Stars, and this looks gorgeous. It reminds me. I think you name dropped a couple, but like definitely like a Chrono Trigger looking thing going on here. It's kind of got that 16-bit pixel art, but it looks really high res and sharp.
Yeah.
Which I'm super into. My first impression, although this is on Game Pass, which is very appealing if you're a subscriber.
Yeah.
This to me looks like the perfect handheld game.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm like, this looks awesome. My first question would be like, is this on Switch? Like,
yeah, right. Yeah,
because this looks like
I don't know if it is.
I'll have to check it out, but
yeah,
this looks great. I'm super into this. Yeah, I'm trying to think in terms of like the last JRPG was probably the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1.
Okay, sure.
So it's been a couple years, and I don't even think I finished it, but I love JRPGs. For whatever reason, there's a brick wall when I have to play in front of a TV and sit there like that. I don't know why.
Sure.
I would much rather prefer to play this on like a handheld on the couch.
Sure.
It's just the way my brain works, but
yeah.
So it's been a while, but I do love JRPGs, and this looks awesome.
Yeah, and it has been really fun because like you do have up to 3 people in your party at any time, but they don't really penalize you for swapping when you get to 4 or 5 characters in and out like on the turn. And also because it's turn-based, you can kind of see what like your enemies are probably going to do or when they're going to attack, even though it's not like all of your people go and then all of them go, and then it's kind of a little stilted.
Okay.
Or I should say uneven. So sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. I love like there's certain RPGs that like it'll show you the list order of who's going next, like Baldur's Gate 3, I think is that way, or Divinity Original Sin 2 was, where you could see it's like, all right, so like Corey's going next, then I'm going, and then they're going. But they also have these little things that it'll say like, oh, they're going to attack in 2 turns, and here are the 3 or 4 things you have to hit them with. It's either like a sword, which is like a sharp attack, a hammer, which is like a blunt attack, or certain magic attacks. If you're able to do that with your party, you can like knock them out of doing that attack, or you can reduce the power of it on like a boss. So it's like, oh, it's at 100%. Cool. If you knock some of those things out, it'll drop down to like 60% or something. So there's a bit of strategy in how you do it, but it doesn't penalize you for being like, oh, my team wasn't set up right at the get-go. It's like you can just swap them in and out on their turn without being penalized. So yeah, the one thing that this game to me is missing is when you level up, it'll like give you one of 4 attributes to increase. Like all their attributes will just normally increase, but there's like, all right, you can also choose one of these 4 to like be like, all right, I'm gonna give them 8 more bonus health points or more magic defense or something, and that's fine. But I would rather and I know this is so much harder, I'd rather have there be kind of like a skill tree, or like I get to choose new skills going forward when I level up, because the skills you kind of get with these characters, for the most part, are what they have. You can find other ones in the world because you build up like a combo meter, and then you can have 2 of your characters do like a combo attack once that combo meter fills to certain tiers. There's like 3 different tiers as you fight. And of course, the higher the tier, the more powerful the attack can be. And so that's kind of like a fun thing to keep in mind too, because your combo meter goes away in between fights. So if you have like a big healing move, then it's like that you can use as a combo, use that before the end of the fight. So that way you don't have to be like, oh, like the next fight comes up and I'm not healed up. So it's stuff like that. And it also has like these big like summon moves, Corey, where like it reminds me of like Final Fantasy VII again, where if you get all the way up to like an ultimate attack, like one of your people, if you build up the meter all the way or whatever, because besides the combo meter, there's like this little kind of square that's building up the whole time too, or diamond, and you can use your ultimate attack, and it's like this big little, it's like a cutscene, it's like a cartoon animated cutscene of like whatever your character's doing. So it kind of cuts away from the battle, and they're like something's happening, and then it comes back to the battle, and it's all like, oh yeah, this feels very like I'm summoning Bahamut or something like that. Which I love. I love that in an RPG. You gotta have cool, big attacks, I think. Yeah. But,
absolutely.
Yeah. But you make a good point. I don't know if this is on Switch. I'm gonna have to look this up while we're doing this today, because you're right. This does feel like it could be perfect for Switch,
Yeah, and it's not really all that relevant to the, the description of the game. Obviously, that's just more of like a personal choice for me. I mean, I think the game looks really cool, and I do have Game Pass, so
I was gonna say,
seems ideal.
It shouldn't take long to download either, even though it's a long game. It's like, it's not a huge technical powerhouse, even though, like you're saying, the detail is so wonderful in this game. Like all the characters and how they move, and the sprites and everything.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And it's so much fun. They even have like a little weird mini game that you can play where it's completely optional. It's just kind of for fun. But, it's like this whole kind of side quest where it's like, oh, I want to be like the best at playing this weird like board game basically in the world. And I've caught myself doing that a few times, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's like another. It's like playing Gwent in Witcher, and then out of Gwent, and you're like, oh man, there's a different game here. Like
or poker and Red Dead Redemption. Like,
dude,
I used to fire that game up just to play poker, and then if I didn't win, I'd just shoot the guy across the table.
Dude, I remember playing in the first Red Dead Liar's Dice.
Okay,
I love
super fun
Liar's Dice, dude.
It's great.
And they didn't even put that in the sequel. I was like, or the prequel.
We'll have to record another podcast about that sequel, but that first game really
so
great.
Good, dude. So good. I'm looking it up, by the way. It says Sea of Stars on Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox X and S.
Perfect.
So,
yeah. It also makes me think about, I don't know if the device is called the Backbone. They make basically a pretty nice high-end controller that's retractable that you insert your phone into, and it basically turns your phone into like an Xbox Switch, for lack of better words.
Oh, cool.
I've looked at them. I've heard they're great. I think they're like $100. And basically it allows you to remote play your Xbox to your phone, and you can play your Game Pass games.
Okay, cool.
From like a AAA standpoint, that's probably something I would never do, because like, who wants to play Forza on your phone? Like, maybe someone does, and that's fine. But or like Halo, but like, the big games you want to play on your TV, you want the full scope and visual fidelity, but like something like this would be perfect for remote play on your phone. So anyways, that's a side thing, but this game looks great. I'm totally nostalgic for this art style. It just screams Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3, that whole SNES era of JRPGs. So
and you can tell like in the game that there's so much inspiration from that, and there's a lot of like little puns and jokes that kind of poke fun at the genre a little bit too, but also it's very loving. It's like, it's not like cynical by any stretch. It's a very sincere, sweet game. And I don't know, it's been a treat to play, so I just kind of boot it up, once in a while. And they have a very forgiving save system where you have to go like find a campfire or whatever, and then there's like a little book, and that's how you save. They have those all over the place, so you don't need to commit to playing like 3 or 4 hours before you need to save. It's like, no, you can just come and go. So
when did this game come out, Sea of Stars?
Here's the thing, it came out at the very end of August of this year.
Got it.
And then it came to Game Pass like, I think in September or something, like not long ago, or October. So it was like, kind of went immediately. I was like, all right, we're gonna do our official release, and then
so it's been out for a little bit. What I was getting at is, I was like, ooh, that's risky launching this close to Super Mario RPG, which, I hate to say it, unfortunately for a Sea of Stars, might have to be on the back burner, since Super Mario RPG, it's coming. It's coming in hot.
It is coming.
I
think so. I'm actually looking forward to playing it. I've always wanted to play this game, and I was like, you know what? I'm sure people will say like, you got to play the original, but I'm fine with this remaster.
Totally. I've heard it's great, so I will check out Sea of Stars for sure. That looks like a lot of fun, but stay tuned. Super Mario RPG maybe next episode.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. We can talk about that.
Jimmy will be in town, so
oh my gosh.
Can't wait.
I'll be back in QCTV headquarters. I'm just at the remote outlet that we have in California.
There you go.
Okay, speaking of Mario though, I think we need to talk a little Mario Wonder because that's what you've been playing recently. Tell me about it. Tell me about Super Mario Wonder. Am I saying the full title?
Yep. So,
okay.
Actually, I think it's Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Okay.
I think that's what it is, but that's fine. Mario Wonder. I'm not even gonna look it up. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So this is another 2D Mario game. I think. Don't quote me on this. I think it's the first mainline 2D game since Super Mario Wii U.
Oh, really?
Which came out, I think, in 2012, and then they re-released it on the Switch a couple of years ago. So I think we've had like a couple of Mario makers, and I think they put out like a mobile game since then. But I think this is like classified the first the mainline Super Mario Bros. Game. It's confusing. There's so many. There's like Super Mario, then Super Mario Bros., which I think is now the 2D brand. They got the RPGs. It's a whole thing. So
yeah, right.
Try and stay with me here, but yeah, Wonder is great. I've heard a lot of people saying it's like a direct sequel to Super Mario World, specifically in the way that you navigate the overworld. You can physically move Mario through the map now, where some of the older games, they're just, you can just boop, boop through the map. It's very stagnant. It's, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room there. And now you can kind of run throughout the map. So you can kind of run between, do other different activities and stuff. So somewhat like an open world 2D Mario game, but not really.
Okay.
So yeah, so basically the distinctive difference between this and other 2D Mario games is now they have these Wonder Seeds, which activates this kind of psychedelic mutation of the existing level that you're in. So, on the surface, on paper, it's a fun, gorgeous 2D Mario game. But then you want to seek out these Wonder Seeds, which kind of activates this goofy kind of other area in the level that you're in, which is really fun. And the Wonder Seeds are what you need to unlock the dungeons at the end of a world. So while in a passive way, you can play through the level and skip the Wonder Seeds, at the end of the day, you need them to get through to the dungeon, which will allow you to progress throughout the rest of the game. So, on a level-to-level basis, you don't really have to seek them out. But if you want to progress, obviously, you need to find these Wonder Seeds. And so that's kind of the word wonder, right? That's where that comes from, are these new Wonder Seeds. And we have a couple new suits. So you got like an Elephant Mario, which is kind of the star of the show.
Okay, I saw a little advertisement where Bowser, I don't know if you've seen this, Corey. He has a bouquet of flowers, and there's Peach. And she transforms into this like pachyderm Peach, right? And he looks at her, and he puts his hand behind his back with the bouquet of flowers and brings out a bigger bouquet of flowers. And he's like,
so funny.
He loves her. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's great.
What is this? Tell me about this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this game is just filled with goofy, wacky, zany, charming things. Like even down to like the Goomba's facial expressions, like the way they look at you. There's a new narrator in this game. He's the Flower, and he'll pop up throughout the game, and he'll give you little tips, and he'll crack jokes with you. It's just filled to the brim with just really fun things that they clearly didn't need to do. They easily could have just went and did another 2D Mario. This is the new Super Mario Brothers game. It's got 8 worlds. It's got 10 levels per world. You're going to fight Bowser at the end, but like they went the opposite direction. It's filled with secrets and fun things. There is a new drill suit Mario, which is really fun.
Okay.
So you can not only drill upwards, but you can drill downwards, which is cool. Adds kind of a fun gameplay mechanic where you're discovering secrets not only above you but below you. There's a bubble suit Mario now where he's shooting bubbles, which on the surface it's like, okay, just sounds like another Mega Man boss, like Bubble Man.
Yeah, right.
But the bubbles are actually really fun because you can use them to hop to new areas throughout the level.
Okay. Cool.
So you have all these goofy, wacky things, but I think I think I'm bearing the lead here is the badges. So I think that's the biggest new change is the badges. So basically badges are purchased with the new purple coins that you will find out throughout the levels. It's a new, historically it's just been the gold coin, right? Like that's been the coin and that's your score. It adds to your score points. Well, now there's a second coin / currency. It's a pink coin, and you want to find as many of these as you can. A lot of these are activated by the Wonder Seed, so it'll populate a lot of these coins when you find the Wonder Seed. Okay. Some of the coins are just passively out in the levels. What I'm getting at is you want to find as many pink coins as possible because there is a merchant in each world. And you can go to the merchant, you can use these coins, kind of like Donkey Kong Country.
Sure.
Very, very Donkey Kong Country vibe esque thing going on. And you buy these badges, which are essentially skills that you can apply to Mario before you start each level. So, for example, there's a badge where Mario can float with his hat, which is very cute. Mario will take his hat off, kind of like Link in Breath of the Wild. You can float through levels, which is really fun.
That's nice.
You can only, to my knowledge, you can only activate one per level. You do it prior to starting the level. There is a badge where if you fall into a pit, they will spit Mario back out. You can only do this once per level. Okay. That's a badge. So they kind of RPG'd this 2D game a little bit, which adds some depth and some flexibility, for lack of better words. Yeah. So they added these skills which you can apply called badges. Another one is like you always start with a full power, so you're always going to start with a mushroom, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I think the really cool thing. Don't quote me on this, but I've heard that some of like the OG Mario developer staff worked on this game. Like,
really?
From the 80s that made the original, which is like really amazing. Obviously, I don't know any exact names or anything, but it's clearly a labor of love. It's clearly them going funky and wild with an existing template, right?
Yeah.
Which is fun to see. So, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. It's definitely going to be one of my better games of the year that I've played. I'll kind of stop and see if you have any questions or anything.
I do. So, okay. I was wondering about the badges because I know in previous titles, certain characters have had certain abilities that were just innate to them.
Right.
And they've kind of like walked that back a little bit. Do you think there's a middle ground where you could do the badges and they like, Luigi has special power that nobody else has or something? Or is that too much?
No, that's a great question. So in the previous 2D Mario games, to my knowledge, you could really only play as Mario and Luigi unless you're doing co-op.
Okay.
So this game, right from the start, you have like probably 10 characters to choose from, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. I
probably should have mentioned that up front, but you have your classic Mario and Luigi, Peach. You have a few different variants of Yoshi. I don't know, have the full list in front of me, but there's several characters to choose from. I've mainly just been playing Mario single player. I'll get to your question in a second. What I'm getting at is I haven't tried the co-op, so I forgive me, I didn't fully do my homework in that regard.
No, it's fine.
When I play these games, I'm mainly just like a single player guy.
Yeah.
I think the co-op in these 2D Mario games are annoying. Sure. Maybe it's gotten better. I don't know. There are little stations throughout the world where you can jump into online play.
Oh, cool.
Again, forgive me, I didn't do my homework on that, so I have not tried that. So to what I'm setting up here to answer your question is, I don't know. The badges obviously work with Mario. I did play a few levels with Luigi. Not Luigi. Yoshi, where you can hold the jump button in the air and he kind of does his little dance with his feet. That makes him go up higher and then he lands down.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a really great question that I don't have an answer to. I've been mainlining as Mario, so the badges have not been an issue.
Yeah.
But I'll test that out. Yeah, that's a great question.
I was just curious because I know in the past, like sometimes when you pick certain characters, you like want them to be different than the others.
Right.
And I think Yoshi was one of, and there's maybe one other one in this game that has that kind of like special kind of thing that makes them a little different. Or like Luigi can jump higher or something.
Or Peach floats with her dress or
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know if like the badges were just like an easier way to be like, all right, everybody can have any of these kind of abilities, as it were.
Right.
But it might maybe take away the intrinsic enjoyment of being like, I picked Wario or whomever it might be in whatever game to play. I don't even know if Wario's in this game. But
yeah, I should have had the list of characters pulled up. You know, it's your classic. It's your classic lineup, right? Like, there's no Donkey Kong. Like, you know, you're not picking Link. It's like the Mario characters, right?
Yeah, which it sounds like also are some of the people who worked on this people who worked on the Tropical Freeze and stuff too, maybe? Or I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this is an internal studio. I think Tropical Freeze was developed by, it's not Remedy. It's the developer who did Metroid Prime, Retro Studios.
Okay, so maybe not that.
Yeah, so I think this is Nintendo proper, but yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say. It is a lovely, fun game, and the thing that surprised me is it's very challenging.
Okay.
You know, it kind of eases you in. You're like, okay, these levels are fairly short. They're fairly low risk. You know, this is fun, but I'm not really being challenged. You know, throughout the game, they really step it up in a way that surprised me.
Cool.
And there are special challenge courses as well, which is really fun. So these are optional courses and very challenging and very fun. But yeah, you know, what I would say is, if you are not a fan of 2D Mario games, I don't think they're going to do anything. Well, if you're not a fan of the 2D Mario games, I don't think this game will win you over necessarily.
Yeah.
I think the badges and the Wonder Seeds, the level manipulation, the zany stuff adds a lot. But at its core, it's still, you know, it's a run and gunner, you know, 2D jumper. You know what you're going to get here. So that's what I would say there.
I just want to know, and you don't necessarily know, but like, is Bowser playable? Like, that's, I know he's the bad guy, but I just want to unlock Bowser to play as Bowser.
Right.
'Cause I love Bowser.
Yeah.
I really do.
Totally.
Yeah.
And maybe
cool
there's some post games, new game plus stuff, you know, I don't know. I'm in the last world. I'm right at the end. And I have a lot of secrets to uncover, a lot of Wonder Seeds to go back and collect. That's what's really fun about kind of the open world nature of the map exploration stuff, is you can physically run around as Mario and you can kind of see what you left behind.
Oh, cool.
It's not just automatically throwing you in from one level to the next. You can fast travel between worlds. You can fast travel between levels in game, which is kind of neat.
Okay.
So a lot of quality of life improvements, a lot of fun games. The game's gorgeous, but again, at its core, it's another 2D Mario. So, you know, take that as you will.
Sure. It's interesting to me. I was just thinking about Mario and how protective they are of him, where it's like they probably would never drop like Kirby or like Link in this game as just like a kind of a fun playable side character like DLC.
Yeah.
Even though if they never make another Super Smash Brothers again, I could see this format being something where they're like, well, we got to use them somewhere. Like, imagine playing as Fox running through one of these levels just as fast as you could.
I would love that so much.
Please.
Yeah, please give us that. Like, that would be so much fun. Running through these levels, like you said, Fox or Link or
Samus.
Samus. Sadly, I don't think they will. I think they're too strict with their properties, and
which is fine.
But I have heard rumors they're ramping up on another Smash Brothers. So
really?
I would not be surprised if not a launch game or a launch window game for the new system that's rumored for next year.
Oh, wow.
That would not surprise me, but
it's weird because as much as I love Smash and I wish they brought those training courses back, that's kind of my thinking there. It's like if you put like Samus or Fox in there, it'd be kind of like those old Smash Brothers training courses. But how do you like, where do you go in Smash Brothers? Like, do you just bring all those characters, even the DLC ones, just from the get-go and you put them on there and you're like, there's going to be like 4 new characters because everybody else we've done. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I know. I don't know. I mean, they had the last real mainline one was the Wii U version, which they up-resed for Switch, correct? That was
no, that was Smash Brothers Ultimate was the one they did for.
right, but that was originally a Wii U game, though, wasn't it?
There was one on the Wii U that was separate.
Okay, it's not the same game.
I don't believe
got
so.
It. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I've got a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Switch.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. But if they're making another one, oh my gosh, who could they add?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's been announced. I just think it's rumored that there's a new one coming. But,
sure.
Yeah.
Master Chief is coming. I did videos on this a long time ago, Corey. People got frustrated. I'm still waiting like Waluigi playable.
Yeah.
I know. They'll just have to make.
Is he still just like one of those little stand-in
Sis trophies? I think so. I say that and watch he came on like DLC or something, and people will be like, actually, Jimmy, he was in the 5th DLC pack. And I'll be like, I'm so sorry. I screwed up.
It's no love.
No. I love that you enjoyed Wonder, though. It sounds like you're really digging it for the most part, even playing by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun, and if it's interesting to look back. There really isn't a whole lot of 2D Mario games. Like a lot of people think there are, but they had the few they did for the SNES, then they had Super Mario World, and then basically they were thrusted in the 3D era with Mario 64. So we haven't had many of these games lately, so it's fun to see. It's very high on my list for this year, and it's a blast. It's a blast. So check it out.
Here's hoping that the next Super Mario 3D game has as much joy and wonder as this game does, because I feel like these 2D games, they can pack so much in.
Yeah.
There's like everything is so. Not that the other like Odyssey didn't have every little thought in mind, but sometimes just like open space where it's just you running through. This game doesn't seem like it has that. It's like there's just so much stuff everywhere. Okay. Yeah. What a cool thing.
Very sensory overload.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
Especially when you get that Wonder Seed, right? And it's like,
I get the Wonder Seed. Yeah.
I've seen videos. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, what is happening? I
saw one where like Toad, someone's played Toad, and they got one and they turned into like a giant, like huge block, like rectangular block, and they just had to like jump through the level that way. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, villains will kind of activate them during boss fights as well. Not to completely spoil it, but
that's cool.
Yeah, they switch up how you encounter boss fights, which is really fun. So, I don't know what else to say. I just think they went out of their way to make something special when they could have just played it safe. They could have, we're very clearly at the end of the Switch lifespan. It's pretty obvious. And like, what a killer year, they could have phoned this in, I guess.
Yeah.
And just gave us a little appetizer to tide us over. We got Tears of the Kingdom, we're getting Super Mario RPG, but they said, no, we're going to make this right and do something really fun, and props for that. So,
yeah, that's one thing, being protective of Mario. I don't know if they really put out anything with Mario in the title that they don't really go all in on. It doesn't seem like nowadays. It's like, no, if his name's in here, we gotta go.
Yeah, except surprisingly the sports games, I don't play them, but apparently they have not been great.
Oh really? Okay.
Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, apparently they've been just like okay.
Oh, okay.
I can't confirm or deny. It's just what I've heard, but those games are not for me. So
sure. I played Strikers back in the day, and that was a great way to get very angry. Like my friends and I we'd work so hard. Man, the computers were so tough. That last one just came out not too long ago either.
Yeah, I think that was well received. I just never played it.
Yeah, I saw a big pop-up thing for it, like big tents and stuff here in California. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. Wow.
Yeah.
Last question I have for you. The missus not interested in playing, or are you like, I'm playing this by myself? She's doing.
We just, honestly, we got a dog, and we don't need to go down the whole rabbit hole of getting a dog, but as you know, it's a lot of work, and we just really haven't found the time. It's just like I have a few minutes to myself at the end of the night.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna hop on the couch with the Switch, and maybe we'll explore the co-op options. I do want to check that out, but I'm sure she'd love to give it a shot. I know she's been really eager to finish Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
I know she's at the end of that, so I think I'll wrap up Mario Wonder and give the Switch back to her so she can finish Zelda, and then
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah,
Nice.
what else you been playing?
All right, so there's been something that's kind of a long time coming for me that I've been wanting to play and to talk about, and it finally came to Game Pass. Not that I have to wait for everything to come to Game Pass, but it also was just not on console for a bit. That's Warhammer 40k Dark Tide. Now, for people who are unfamiliar with the Warhammer stuff, they've had a few games come out over the years. And by few, I mean very many. But the Vermintide games were kind of the ones that are more in line with this. Those are more the Warhammer, not 40k, just Warhammer. Those are more medieval. You're fighting a bunch of rat people. And very much like Left 4 Dead, where you go through these, you know, specific levels. You have specific kind of tasks. Basically just got to get through them. And you have to fight your way. And they've got special, you know, they had special rats, and you were all like special kind of mercenaries in your own
rat
regard.
people. I love
exactly.
it. What did the rat people ever do to you, Jimmy?
I don't know. They were horrible. It was like a horrible plague, and I had to go and cleanse them.
Yeah.
So take that idea and go into space, and that's the 40k stuff. So instead of rat people, we're getting kind of disease, zombie-like kind of chaos people, as it were, and there's more demonic presence and all this stuff. But if you played Vermintide specifically, or even Left 4 Dead, you'll feel right at home here. And with this one particularly, there's more of an emphasis on gunplay, because the 40k stuff is more kind of shooter-esque, and
that's where Space Marine is under that same umbrella.
Yes.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you cannot play as a Space Marine. If you were playing as a Space Marine, which I'm very excited that is coming later this year, Space Marine 2, I will be talking about that on this show. Yeah, Space Marines would just crush in this game.
Can't wait for that, by the way.
Yeah, me neither. And it's got, 3-player co-op campaign. I'm just like, we're
gonna get in on that.
Get in on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game basically you play as you make up your own backstory, and they go like way in depth on this. You can like pick the home planet you're from. You can actually change how your character looks, where in past games you just were preset, and that's how it was going. But you kind of make a character, and there are 4 different classes, at least the time of recording, and you kind of choose. Now again, very fantasy archetypes here. You've got like a mage type person, you've got an all-arounder, you've got more of a tank, and then you have your final one, which is more of like, how do I say? It's kind of like a mixture, like of not really tank, but you're like a more of a paladin-esque kind of warrior. And again, that'll kind of dictate your playstyle and the weapons you get to choose from. So if you're playing as this big tank, he's called an Ogren. He's this really big guy. He can get these like big shields and these big guns that you can't utilize if you're just one of the other 3 classes, which are more humanoid in form and function. So you won't get access to all the weapons, but you get different powers and special abilities and all this stuff. So the idea is to kind of make a group of 4 that kind of complement each other as you go out on these missions. Kind of trying to not exonerate yourself, but prove yourself useful, because you were a prisoner that kind of was sprung from, you know, being imprisoned forever during this kind of chaotic time, and you're going to go help and fight for the God Emperor. And you have to show that you're useful, and maybe the best way you can do that is by going out there and maybe killing, or you maybe dying yourself. So yeah, it's just a really fun game, first person, hectic combat, really weighty melee. There's a lot of emphasis on the different types of weapons you can bring out, not just guns, but swinging swords and axes and hammers and stuff, and how you charge up those attacks, how you block, how you kind of use your stamina, all this stuff, and dealing with hordes of these creepy, chaotic things, but then also specials that can pin you down. And it's very much that kind of, you know, Left 4 Dead. If you run off by yourself, you're going to die. Like, something will pin you and you can't get up. So it really forces cooperative play. Even when I played this a few times by myself with other, you know, people that I'm not talking to, but you could still figure out, you know, what you need to do. There's a ping system, all that stuff. And I don't know, it's just really fun. The moment-to-moment gameplay is really enjoyable. It's always chaotic and interesting, and you always, for me, feel like you're typically surviving by the skin of your teeth. And then your characters will level up. You'll get access to better weapons. There's a full skill tree kind of go down different paths and stuff. And you can respec for free at any time. So they're like, yeah, we want you to try stuff out. If it works, great. If you're like, no, thanks, I'm going to go back and try something else, you can do that too. So it's very easy to hop into. And again, especially being on Game Pass, this show is not brought to you by Microsoft, I promise you. But Game Pass is insane, and I have to, applaud it for that, laud it as well. But yeah, it's just fun, and I played it a few times with some buddies, like on, comms. I've got 2 other buds I play with. Shout out to Joe and Drew. And I don't think we've ever had a full 4-person team yet. That'd be great. But yeah, it's just fun. It's just really good, and I enjoy it. Some people might not like it because it is very much like, you got to communicate and be like, go here, do this, or like, hey, I need your help over here, please help me. And I don't know. It's really fun. Very dark, very gritty, very violent. Decapitating, ripping off arms, shooting people with laser guns, like all this stuff. I love it. I don't know why. I just really do. I like the Warhammer universe, Corey, especially the 40K stuff. And I can't wait for Space Marine. I can't wait for just more 40K, all that stuff. It's so cool. But do you have any questions before I continue?
Well, first of all, you got to hook up with Henry Cavill, because I know he's a big Warhammer guy, and I think he's going to be playing potentially a Space Marine in the upcoming 40K. Was that movie announced, or was that just...
No clue.
Okay. Well, anyways, we'll have to check that out. But, I got to play this with you.
Yeah.
We got to play this together.
We did get one. I was going to say, did we do like 1 or 2 missions?
Yeah, we didn't play very long.
Yeah. So we did a little.
Yeah, I'd probably restart it and put a little more effort into the intro stuff.
Yeah.
Building my character and all that, because I think I kind of rushed through it. If I remember correctly, it was kind of running late that night, so we just wanted to jump in. But
yeah,
super fun, really challenging, and visually striking.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap, this game's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the previous game called? This is Vermintide. The last one was...
So there was 2 Vermintide games, Vermintide 1 and 2. This is Darktide.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say is I'm more of like a fantasy guy than I am sci-fi, although I find joy in both. And another game that I had a lot of fun playing with you was the recent Aliens Fire Team. Was it Fire Team?
Yes, Aliens Elite Fire Team.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, great game. Yeah.
Great game, but I think this is more my jam because of the first-person perspective, action, the more in-your-face, arcadey nature of it. Yeah, I guess I don't have a lot to say other than like I'm, interested to play more and to start it over and put a little more mental energy into the beginning moments of that game, where again I just kind of rushed into it. So. But the gameplay seemed like a lot of fun, very challenging. I got my butt handled to me several times.
I appreciate you reminding me of that, because I was like, man, we did play a little bit. So that was like maybe
3 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was. And I was like, oh yeah, we only played that one night. Right. But yeah, it's tough. Yeah, you can't. Yeah. They don't really handhold too much in this one.
Yeah. But I remember you were criticizing one of our teammates because he was like much higher level than us, but like, he wasn't holding his end of the. I don't know.
I was like, what's happening? I was like, you're like level 15, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, he was going down all the time. I'm like, you gotta stick with the group.
Right.
Right. Another thing you mentioned, like, visually striking. They've got crazy skyboxes in the Warhammer world, especially 40K. Everything's so over the top and massive. If you just stop and look up in this game, it's like, wow, this place. Yeah, it's this giant kind of machine world that you're doing these missions on, and they do a great job of that. And they also do like full cinematic cutscenes, like pretty frequently, which is really nice. Cool. You watch them the first time, and then when you make other characters, you're like, yeah, I might skip it, but you get to see your character, walking around doing stuff. You're like, oh, there's
right. So my question right off the bat is, are you like Diablo? I know you like to play as several different characters that are interchangeable throughout different co-op experiences, etc. Are you treating this game in a similar way to Diablo, where you have different classes of characters and different things going on, or are you just playing one character? Or
Yes. So I have more of like a main, which is my psyker. They're more of a magic wielder, as it were. I'm like using like lightning and like soul fire and stuff. But I do have another, I think like 1 or 2 characters that I've tried to build up.
Okay.
I've kind of gambled with it though, where it's like I took like a level 1 and I like, it's so confusing because there's like, you have characters as a level, but then there's like, so pardon me, there's like these tiered like, it's like tier 1 through 4. That's how like difficult the missions are.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, if you do like a tier 2 like mission with a level 1 character, that's gonna be really hard.
Okay.
But I managed to pull one off with like my level 1, so he like leveled up like crazy after we got through it. I'm like, okay, that was tough. But that's kind of the way I was like power leveling. So yeah, I've got like 3 characters.
Okay. I think I picked a soldier. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Soldier.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I picked a soldier. Yep.
Yeah, like the veteran.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. I mean, Game Pass, it's just the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I knew you were really excited about this. I remember talking about this with you like
Years
a
ago.
long time ago in the studio.
Yeah.
This was one of your anticipated games.
Yeah.
I'm
waiting.
Yeah. So that's awesome that they put this on Game Pass and that you got to play it. I'm eager to check out more.
Yeah.
The holiday season is starting to fill up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be challenging to
right.
to juggle all these games, but I am hopeful that there will be a period of time coming up where I can go through my backlog. This is a game I want to spend more time with, and I don't know if you're going to touch on Payday, but I definitely want to check out Payday as well. So that was the other game that we were going to play.
Yeah.
Which we haven't got a chance to. Is that another one you've been playing, or?
I was playing it before Dark Tide, and not that I've been playing a lot of Dark Tide because I've been playing Sea of Stars, but Payday 3 that came out to Game Pass not too long ago, and actually Payday I think launched simultaneously, like PC and stuff, whereas Dark Tide was on PC for a while, kind of had a rocky launch, I guess, and then they did like a whole like huge massive update, and they added like the skill trees and stuff, so Dark Tide's now in the best spot it's been in, whereas Payday 3, it just came out in like September, I think it was.
Okay.
Could be wrong about that. But yeah, Payday 3. I like Payday 3 so much more than Payday 2. Just from the handling of the game. It feels like night and day. I remember playing Payday 2 a little bit. And I was like, I don't know, the gunplay and stuff. I was like, ooh.
Right.
And in a first-person shooter, even though you can play this game without really shooting if you want, if you do it just right. But that needs to feel good. And I can firmly say Payday 3 definitely feels that way. The funny thing is, Corey, about this game, and it's just like a narrative thing, I think it's very kind of hilarious. In this world, which is very similar to our own for the most part, the first mission you do where you steal from a bank, if you do it there's kind of 2 ways to do this, like a lot of games. It's like you can kind of do the quiet way where nobody knows and you're very stealthy. You're robbing from banks and stuff, or robbing, these special like art galleries and things. You do it quietly. If you do it perfectly, as a co-op game, that is maybe not as fun for people because it's a lot of like sneaking around and be like, all right, wait, I'm going to do this thing. Now you do your thing. Versus the loud way, which is just, I'm going to shoot everyone. And they do penalize you kind of like Hitman if you shoot like civilians and stuff. But after that first mission, Corey, I remember thinking like, if you did this and you like took out a bunch of security guards and all these people who are coming to stop you, you wouldn't be able to pull off, I don't think, any other job ever, because you'd be like the most wanted person ever on the planet.
Yeah.
And again, that's not the point of the game, but I started thinking about it as like the body count was rising, and I was like, it doesn't matter how much money I steal. There's no way I live the next week as this character. It's like, just move on to the next job. And it's it's like, okay, not gonna happen.
So that pulls you out of it a little bit.
Only a little, just kind of as a funny thing. But, no, but it is a really fun game, and again, with buddies, especially. And they have like a whole like kind of like skill tree thing kind of too, like perk system and things. So you can get really involved. with that if you want to. But did you have any questions about it? Because like I said, I know you said we're going to try to play it at some point. Hopefully,
yeah, I'd love to check it out. I really don't have any questions. I'm pretty familiar with the franchise, obviously,
Sure,
and the inspiration of Michael Mann's Heat, which is literally one of my favorite movies ever. So like on paper, this should be my most anticipated game of the year. However, knowing me, you know me, I'm such a single player hermit that the online stuff, like I'll like I would love to play with you. I'll jump in with you, but like outside of my gaming relationship with you, I don't really play a lot of online games with virtually anybody.
Sure.
So it kind of kicks the game out of my anticipation list just by the nature of the gameplay.
Yeah.
So, but yes, no, I'm very familiar. I would love to check it out. I just want a single player Heat, just like, you know, they're doing the RoboCop game, which I'm actually weirdly excited to check out because I heard that was actually a lot of fun.
Okay, cool.
But anyways, that'll be for a future show. But yeah, we'll set aside a time and we'll dive into some Payday 3. I'd love that.
Yeah, on a technical level, you can play this single player. It just be with 3 bots.
I see. Okay.
Yes, so kind of like Left 4 Dead, or I think Dark Tide. If you lose people, they'll just swap in bots and stuff.
Got it.
So keep that in mind. But
got it.
Yeah, you could do that. It's just you're not as coordinated, and
Sure.
Yeah.
I just want a Heat role playing game where I can make like choices. Like how cool would that be? Like just a game set in that world or something similar where like you are clearly a bad person, you are a criminal, you are murdering people and robbing banks, but they present options to like, become a better person or go down a different path or not, or go down, you know what I mean? Like that sort of game would be really cool. Yeah,
they don't really have to that extent, but like the character I've kind of been building up is more of a person who can like you take hostages and stuff, and then like I can trade hostages to buy more time, but I get like even more time before like the police show up because that's like a perk I have.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to be like this weird like criminal mastermind who comes and is like, I'm gonna have the ground and you're gonna do exactly what I say and follow me around and like using shields, like people with shields. I feel so horrible, Corn. But it's like you gotta get that money. And of course they have like you can buy guns and stuff as you level up. But like everything is like outrageously expensive because you just robbed a bank. Because like it's like you robbed the first bank and you're like, I can afford all this stuff. But it's like, all right, it's gonna be like $400,000 for this gun, and you're like, what? Or for like a red dot site, it's like $100,000.
What? Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't know about. Or for your masks cost like insane amounts of money. But it's like, well, it's kind of like to keep you invested.
Sure. Something you could buy at Fleet Farm for like $8, but nope.
Here it's like, it's $200,000. Oh, you want to spray paint it? Oh, that's gonna cost you even more. It's like
that's so funny.
What are these made out of?
Yeah.
But it is a fun game.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that sounds
excited.
Awesome. I just want a modern crime game with choices. Like that was one of the things I always struggled with Grand Theft Auto is you're constantly playing this like human garbage character, maybe outside of like Nico from GTA 4.
Sure.
Like he was a little more humane, but like the character of Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5 is just like this murderous sociopath where there's humor and it's funny, but like there's really no choice.
There's actually almost no choice.
None.
Especially where it's like pull the car into this space and you're right next to it. It's like, no, you need to pull the car into this space. And you're like, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Like,
I just can't do it. I'm really hoping they do something dramatically different with 6. Yeah.
Probably not, but
probably
we'll
not.
See.
Yeah. But I just want like take what they did with Fallout Vegas or the Fallout template, right? And give me that in a modern crime game. I'm set. That's my game of the year. Love it.
Great. That's how like I felt about that older game, I should say Alpha Protocol, where it was like it's spy game, but you got to make choices and stuff. Maybe the gameplay wasn't perfect, but it was like, but you got to choose what you wanted to do. And I was like, I feel like we moved away from that. Dude, Alpha Protocol.
Is that a BioWare or that was who did that game?
No,
gonna have to look this up. I remember
Alpha Protocol. For people who don't know, Alpha Protocol was a game back in like 2005 or 7, and you could play as this character, and they talked about like making choices. You were like either very suave, very direct, or like violent. Like those are your 3 choices.
I remember it was very mixed at the time. I never played it.
It's great. Great game.
2010, developed by Obsidian. Speaking of Fallout New Vegas.
Dude, I like choices in games. Avowed, I hope you have choices.
Yeah.
I bet you will have choices, Avowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, well, that's cool. We'll have to jump into some Payday. We'll have to set aside a time for that. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Corey, we've got just a few minutes left here. I was going to ask
no worries.
about Eliza P.
Yep, no worries. I can make it quick. Another game that's very high on my list. It's a Souls-like game that is not developed by From Software.
Yeah.
This is a take on the classic, like the original Pinocchio book. I think is it The Adventures of Pinocchio, Tales of Pinocchio? I don't know. It doesn't matter. You play as Pinocchio. It is a Dark Souls style game. You are literally kind of taking quests from Geppetto, which is very interesting. Yeah. It's kind of this mix between a like steampunk and kind of like a Resident Evil Village, like a marriage of those two.
Yeah.
So it's got these kind of like robotic cyberpunk sort of aesthetic mixed with like village monster aesthetic. It's not heavily inspired. Obviously, they are taking inspirations from other games, but the execution is done very well. It is very challenging. It's very fun. It's very polished. And it actually has a story, which you can't really say that. I mean, you know, the From Software games, they do have a story, but not really. Let's be honest.
I just call it lore. It's
lore,
like you can look it up if you want in the item descriptions of the world, but you're like, I don't know what my character's even doing. Why do they even want to do this? Like...
Exactly. Yeah. So, again, not super inspired. This is a Souls-like game, but hey, there's so many of them now. It's almost just a genre, so you can't really knock them for that. I think this is the best one of these games I have played outside of the From Software games. So, which I think says a lot. So I think this is a solid cut above the Lords of the Fallens and the Neos and even Jedi Survivor. I think I would put it a hefty 2 steps above that. It's very high on my list for this game. It's if you like that genre of game, it's worth checking out. It's great. It's great.
Okay. Have you gotten, do you know, closer to the end?
You know, so it's on Game Pass. I must say that again. This is a Game Pass episode, as most are. So I have not felt like in a big rush to like play through it. You know, whatever. Take that as you will. But I would say I think I'm like close to the end, but I don't know.
Okay.
Probably 30, 40 hours in, if I had to guess.
My other question is, will you play the new Lords of the Fallen?
I won't spend money on it.
Okay.
But I'll play it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
I'm not spending $70 on that game.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I like the new weird mechanic where there's like 2 different worlds simultaneously.
Yeah, that's cool. I think
that looks cool.
We're seeing more and more games do that. Yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Eliza P is great. I mean, if you like hardcore, challenging role-playing games, you should check this out. Yeah.
Yeah, I played like maybe half hour or an hour of it. And I was like, yep, this is definitely, I know what this is.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but you know, after Elden Ring, it's hard.
Sure. Yeah, this is a linear action RPG game with open levels with fast travel, but this is no Elden Ring. And what I will say is the game does get dramatically better because you upgrade different fused arms, which is another combat mechanic, which is really cool. And you can swap those out. Jimmy, there's a flamethrower in this game.
I'm in. I've changed my tune.
Yeah. So you can swap out his Pinocchio's right arm, and that does a different attack to the like melee weapon in his other hand. So
that's super cool.
Yeah.
See, I feel like we're just scratching the surface with this, but unfortunately,
that's okay.
This is our time for the day. We can't go any further, otherwise QC will become a video game television network. That would be great. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you QCTV for allowing us to continue doing this lovely show. We just appreciate you, dear viewers, and until next time, take care.